Broadcasting from Detroit's Cass Corridor, it's the Metro. On WDET, I'm Kerry Jr. II. This hour, a Metro Detroit nonprofit is taking what they call a Theater for All approach. We'll hear how the organization recruits its casts from school classrooms and senior living communities. Plus, a tiny sector of romance novels contain Black stories. We hear from a local author about how many different kinds of tales that small selection includes. Let's begin in classrooms and senior living communities, where people are finding their voice and community on stage. A Metro Detroit nonprofit, Michigan Stage, is taking a Theater for All approach to stage production. The organization is reimagining what access to the arts looks like for elementary students and seniors with its popular Playlab program. Tim Paré is the founding artistic director of Michigan Stage. He spoke with the Metro's Tia Graham about making theater an all-ages activity in Oakland County.
It's very rare to find people who are still brave enough to just express themselves and to pursue creative outlets. And so what we do is really unique because there are no prerequisites. Nobody has to have practice. Nobody has to have experience prior to joining the programs. We meet everyone where they are. You get the same out of it if you've been doing theater for 20 years or if it's your first ever time. And to me, that's really special because when I was younger, growing up, there weren't a lot of programs like that. It was very competitive. And if there were programs at all, there was always some barrier. And so it's really important to us that we reduce as many of those barriers as possible. It's a really wonderful passion project. And I'm so grateful to be here talking about it with you.
Now, Tim, for myself, as you know, and a lot of folks, like you were just saying for yourself, like we didn't have those programs. My school definitely didn't have a theater program like at all. What do you feel when you're bringing it to students who, you know, never had even a glimpse of what theater is or productions or stage plays or anything like that?
Yeah, it really is so remarkable. First and foremost, we're targeting elementary and middle schools, which is really like a dead zone. There's no arts access in those age groups. I mean, like some in the classroom, but very rarely. And most of the after-school stuff is reserved for high school and older. And so when we started, it became very clear that this was the demographic we needed to focus on. And like you said, I mean, when you see it for the first time, it really is truly just so fulfilling. We perform once in school and then once after school, so the students get the experience of seeing their peers perform a play that they wrote, something that they're so proud of because it's so unique to them. And many of these students have never even seen a live production before. So you're talking about not only seeing your friend, but seeing them in something that's relatable, seeing them in something that's very personal and very silly, but also seeing them sort of treated like a celebrity. And we do little autograph cards after each performance, and you would think like Beyonce was there or somebody, the way these students react to their friends. And of course, because the students are writing the plays themselves, we get a lot of very topical themes like brain rot and TikTok and the destruction of the earth. And of course, this is all being told through kindergarten through fifth grade lenses. But it's really so refreshing and really reassuring for the future that there are a lot of creative voices out there.
I think about so often, or even just scrolling, of course, brain rot, but listening to actors talk about, you know, when they first got that spark or when they first fell in love. And it's just like, oh, I was in an audience and I saw other kids performing and I thought, I didn't know kids could perform. So have you had or run into that as well, where there are kids who said, I didn't even think that I was allowed to do this?
Oh my gosh, so much. In fact, that's probably one of the biggest responses that we get is the students who really deserve to be in an environment like this, but wouldn't have access otherwise. And in so many places, they're being told, you're too loud, you need to sit still, you're not following directions. But really what they are is just stuck in the wrong environment. And I was that kid. I never understood that I couldn't socialize while my teachers were talking to the class. I thought it's so much more fun to be silly with my friends. And so what we have done is created an environment where that's not only safe, but it's acceptable. And so watching these students discover the potential inside has been truly the biggest gift. And then to see them progress in their lives and along these tracks, continuing to pursue more opportunities. Just one of the school districts we partner with, which is Ferndale, they post-COVID had a really, really small deteriorating theater department in the high school because, we were home for years and the interest was waning. And so throughout the subsequent, I think 3 or 4 years that we've been in the district, that program has expanded almost like sixfold. In fact, just their spring musical last year, or this year, they had 22 alumni from our programs. And to give you comparison effects, 3-4 years ago, they had 4 students total in the production. So 22 alumni from our programs, which means they got bit by the theater bug in, let's say, 2nd, 3rd grade. By the time they got to 6th and 7th grade now, they're pursuing it full out, no marking. And it's really incredible to see.
What have you heard from different school districts or different things like that in terms of expanding and getting more residencies within their schools and their classrooms? What's the interest like?
Oh my gosh. Well, to say the least, there is a significant interest, so much so that we were unfortunately facing some funding cuts last year. And so we had to scale back on a couple of our after-school programs, which was really sad because it left 150 students on a wait list. I know, it was heartbreaking. And so we did everything that we could to raise money to reinstate and expand programs. And thankfully, we're getting back on track to open those after-school opportunities. But in the wake of that, we really said, this is a sort of a reckoning. We have an opportunity here to change the program, adapt the model, not ever doing away with it, but adding more. And so now, thanks to a grant that we received from the Michigan Arts and Cultural Council, we're able to pilot a new in-school version that's going to allow us to just like tenfold increase our impact, diminish that wait list down, and continue to expose more and more students to the arts. And this time, it's done on a full classroom takeover style. So we go into the school day, we work directly with, let's say, all the 4th grade classes, and we choose something that they're working on already in their core classroom, but we get to activate it through theater, through play, and then, of course, through like conflict resolution and social and emotional development. So not only are we having the best time, but the students are also gaining these invaluable life skills. So no matter what direction they go, everybody's getting something out of it. The teachers are happy because we're helping them meet certain outcomes. And yeah, it's really just, it's been incredible.
Tim, you were just talking briefly about it, of course, just the importance of arts and culture, but how it is not simply just something that's fun or entertaining. It's also something that are life skills. Oftentimes, we don't talk about arts and culture in that way. We don't include it with the STEM or STEAM. I like to say STEAM instead of STEM. Why is it important to treat arts like STEM or science-heavy careers?
Yeah, it's a really good question because, like you said, there is no overlap. It's very compartmentalized. You get the STEM core, and then you have the arts and culture piece. So yeah, sort of an afterthought on the outside. But what we see is students developing social skills, most importantly, but creative reasoning. So if you're talking about writing or what's the word I'm trying to think, like math problems that have some more of a theoretical question there, being able to diagram it, being able to sequence out the question, being able to visualize what's happening, and then to utilize the theatrical skills that they've done for problem solving and writing the plays, they're now able to adapt into the mathematical and science reasoning. And then, of course, beyond that, we have historical context. So the students are taking something that is, let's say a dusty old poem that they've probably heard before, but not really connected to. And we get to look at it through a lens of something that's important to them. So transferring it, making it updated a little bit. To give you an example, we're actually expanding into secondary schools, and we're utilizing all of Shakespeare's greatest battles, but we're utilizing laser tag. So the students will actually study both sides of the battle. They'll actually get to play it out with laser tag sets, and then afterward get to reflect on how the battle went, what was just, what was perhaps unfair. And the whole point of all of this, of course, is not only education advancement, but we're seeing a really, really huge diminishment in students' attendance and engagement. People just aren't coming to school anymore, and when they do, they're disengaged, they're sort of disenfranchised. And so what we want to do is slyly introduce all of that learning, but in a really fun way where they're excited to come to school. And we've in fact had parents tell us, like, oh my gosh, Elliot wakes up the night before or early in the morning to pick out his outfit before play labs because he wants to dress up and wear something really unique that day. So it's just been so rewarding.
This is The Metro on WDET. I'm Tia Graham. Right now, we're talking about Michigan Stage, an Oakland County-based nonprofit theater arts organization. It's expanding its reach with students and elders. My guest is Tim Paré. He's the founding artistic director of Michigan Stage. So as we continue on, of course, and we transition a little bit away from the kids for a little moment, and we get to a whole different ball game. You're working with a different group of people altogether. So we have the Senior Lab Program. It's been going on for 3 years now. How did it get started?
Oh gosh, I think in my mind, I was so excited about what was happening with the youth play labs that I thought there are other audiences that can benefit from this. And adults was such a no-brainer. First, we wanted to do family programs, and we might still. We also see a need in corporate environments. I think just getting people to understand how communication bottlenecks and that sort of breakdown can really impact a lot. But before we get there, we reached out to residential communities, senior residential communities. And so the program that we currently work with is All Seasons Birmingham. And 3 years ago, we went to them just in the same way that we approach the youth programs, start with very basic improvisation, get to know one another, really assess where everybody's skill level was. And they were so hungry, they just kept rising to the challenge to this point where we said, we've got to do more. We really have to give them more, something to bite into. And so the prompt was, if you could go back to a year in your life or a moment in your life, what would it be and why? We didn't require everyone to respond, but someone said, my senior year in high school, 1956. And it kind of just stopped myself and my other teaching artist. And I said, that's universal. It's resonant. There's something here that everybody can really jump into. And so we've been working on this original play set in 1956, senior year of this fictional high school. And we've got the jocks, we've got the theater nerds, we've got the popular girls who insist that they're not mean girls, just popular. We've got transfer students, there is a homecoming dance, and of course everybody's vying for king and queen. It's a little bit of like Grease meets High School Musical. And it's just, I cry every session when I'm there. I laugh, I cry, because they're not only getting a chance to relive that moment of senior year and, of course, repurpose it with all the wealth and knowledge that they've gained from their years living, but they're also able to lend a 2026 lens to it. So the conversation around going stag to the homecoming dance came up. And so many said, well, we wouldn't do that in 1956. I said, well, this is technically fictional. And so if the times have changed and there's a way that we can incorporate some of that more progressive thinking, then we should. And as soon as that opened up their minds, you started to see all these other sparks go off. And so it's really fantastic. It's going to be a full-length play that we get to perform and share in July. And yeah, it's really my favorite thing I think I've ever done.
Oh, because it's so much that you learn being around just seniors. I don't even like the term senior citizen, but it's so much that you learn just being around. And I love to say that older folks are libraries themselves, walking libraries. So you're learning so much. But then not only that, you're watching them learn and grow, even at an age of whatever it may be. Talk about just that dynamic of watching someone who graduated in 1956 growing and learning with the times, like in 2026. Like, what is that like watching them go through those moments of realization? Like, it's not, 56 anymore, it's 2026. And how have I changed? Just what was it like watching that?
Yeah. It really is such a great question. And truthfully, without getting too personal, I feel like I'm also going through a very significant life transition right now, and it has been very difficult. I won't say more because that's not what the talk is about. But in every session, we allow them the chance to check in with us. Where are you at today? How are you feeling? How are you processing your own life before we even get to the rehearsal? And the outlook that they provide and share it's so powerful. I mean, something as simple as like hope, hope at the age of mid 90s, to have that and to say, well, I feel pretty physically sore, or, my body is deteriorating in one way or another, but the sun came up today, or I get to see my grandkid in 3 days and we're going out to a dinner together. And to have that optimism really kind of bookend the work that we're doing, it allows us as the teaching artists to see, and truly, like, personally, I have gained so much watching them just persevere through life obstacle after life obstacle. We've had certain participants whose significant other have passed away while we've been working with them. And to see this be the outlet that they come back to because they need the safe space, they want the community, they want the outlet. Another resident, he was a lawyer in his prime, and he may be one of our oldest. I'm actually not sure if I'm not going to reveal his age, but I do think he's in our older bracket, like later in the 90s. And he's got this very, very husky voice because he doesn't use it often. He sits home in his apartment, and every week he comes to us and he thanks us and he says, "Thank you for helping reacquaint me with my own voice." And yeah, I mean, your reaction is exactly my reaction. It brings me to tears when I think about it. And to see him sort of harness that as a tool and a gift again this late in life is just, it's chill. I got chills. It's really.
I'm trying to fight back tears here too, because it's just like so often in this society, people get to a certain age and we just discount them. Yeah. We throw them to the side. We don't listen to their voices anymore. What do you hope people take away when they do hear about the senior plays and the work that's being done and the work that, they're doing to showcase their outlook on the world?
Yeah, I think definitely possibility. Possibility is probably the best takeaway, that if you are open to possibilities, you really can do anything. If you set your mind to it and you have the right outlook and you stay hopeful and you stay grounded and you stay gracious and kind and patient, which all of these people are, and all of them, in fact, impart those values on me on a daily basis when I'm there. But to see it firsthand, I think is just, it's of a different world. And I think anybody who watches the play will see that there is no end. There is no specific moment in life when you get to stop being creative or when you're forced to stop being yourself. And I think we often forget that. Here's how I look at it. The youth in the programs have not been tainted by the real world. So they're just boundless optimism, ideas, creativity, expression. Then you go through that middle-age slump where the real world and the harshness of reality just like, it can feel suffocating. And then you get to a point where you say, why not? Why can't I do this? I think I can give it a shot, and there's nothing stopping me, and I have this environment. And so I believe when people see this show that, first of all, there won't be a dry eye in the house. There's a lot of humor in it, but a lot of emotion. And I do believe that everyone will walk away feeling empowered, that if you have a dream, even at age 95, it's not too late. And I can't imagine a better outcome or a better takeaway. Like, the world is your oyster. Go for it.
Tim Paré is the founding artistic director of Michigan Stage. Coming up, how come Black romance novels only tell narratives about struggle? A local author offers her best explanation next. This is The Metro. We'll be right back.